cut dog crew. Four real niggas, four moves. On my mind and we bone straight boots. Straight boots in that new Bay Mule. Turn up 40 on my lap as I cruise with my bad chick. Bad chick, better than my last chick. All my dudes is spark a lot. So we told big killers in the parking lot. We on that dumb shit. My side, ride or die on that where you from shit. East O, bring it, if we live with it, bring it back. Real nigga, you ain't even got it. Off a real nigga, so we tatted. Chi-town fan, so we get it. Niggas on the beat, sliding one day. I woke up this morning like fuck that. Fuck that. Man, it's time to get my money. I say, man, it's time to get my money.
Open up a loud pack and roll the baseball bat. That's that power that's strong. Took a shower and grab my clothes, make the rest of the bit. Make a bitch nigga stick. From the beginning, my nigga, bro, I was trained to go. I was plotting no dough when I was an embryo. Trying to make an honest dollar, didn't work for me. So I did what I had to do for my family. We on that dumb shit. Hit a bitch nigga with a drum. Dragging my knuckles on the ground like an eight. Tougher than the $3 steak. Psychedelic colors in my presidential. I'm a real one, I ain't got no bitch retention. Raised in the drug infested environment. Free all of my realness in solitary confinement.
This morning like fuck that. Fuck that. Man, it's time to get my money. Say, I think, man, it's time to get my money.
Motherfucking squad shit, dog. We finna wake the fucking streets up with this one, man. Dude, man, you better get these niggas, man.
If I'm making the car thing, these niggas wanna ride with me like I'm RJ. Lost my cousin Bear, I feel it when I'm shooting dice. I'll ride the plug, that nigga try to up the price. I be jumping out the park like I say I do. With big guns, with Stevens ready to say I chew. In my city, niggas dangerous like Nike Blue. So be prepared for the worst, ask in the suit. I'm going strong, putting on, so they mad at me. I hospitalize a nigga like it's grandmammy. I'm with my OG, just going on his granddaddy. 100 grand and some grams to make the fam happy. Don't get it twisted, you tripping, nigga, I off you. I'm grown, nigga, don't worry about who I talk to. So mind your business, I ain't into all that whole shit. Don't get killed in front of me, cause I don't know shit. It's on script. Niggas wanna ride with me. They want me to cry with me. Bust they 4-5 with me. Talk about they gon' die with me. Oh, he probably drop a dime on me. Acting like he really tryna shine with me. Fuck around and stab me in my spine low key. That's probably why I always ride around just me. I ain't worried about these niggas till they send it threats. Don't play with me cause I bang a nigga like gang sex. I'm with my cousin Lil Poppy and we going fam. Pistol on me every time I ride through the town. I got my beats up, I'm pouring liquor on the ground. I get it crackin', I don't fuck around with fuck around. I do this for my cousin Bear, that's why I'm on shit. Disrespect me in any way, get your dome split. These niggas wanna ride, but they don't wanna do the crime. Or do the time, no snitch, nigga, that's suicide. And I be with my nigga Cheddar talking mozzarella. Tryna set me up, I do the job a cappella. I rock a fella, I ain't talking about no Benny Siegel. I double back and fuck around and have to shoot a sequel. I'm feeling evil, but I'm in that all white though. And these bullets spin your car like a sideshow. On life, bro. Niggas wanna ride with me, but they won't do the crime with me. Bust they 05 with me. Talking about they gon' die with me. Oh, he probably drop a dime on me. Acting like he really tryna shine with me. Walk around the shadow in my smile low key. That's probably why I always ride around just me. Oh, I gotta keep a 9 on me. I gotta keep a 5 on me. Bitch niggas lying on me. Bitch niggas lying on me. Oh, wanna see a little nigga on the road. I'll fuck around and go to me.
Hey, nigga, fuck you, nigga. You gonna hit that
Break dip, corner sharp like razor. Ghost rider whip, neighbors yelling y'all crazy. E40 slang, vocabulary gravy. Hustle so strong, lead a whole block hazy. Curbside chatter, deals under street lights. Hustle on the corner like a fiend chasing green stripes. Knock steady, hitting speakers bark like a pit. Street level impact, the ground might split. Street level impact, with a baseline crack. From the trunk to the block, no way to turn back. Hands in the air, we gon' make this clap. Street level impact, yeah we built for that. Street level impact, with a baseline crack. From the trunk to the block, no way to turn back. Hands in the air, we gon' make this clap. Street level impact, yeah we built for that. Up that, up that, up that, up that, up that.
What's going on, y'all? We're here to bring y'all another episode of Street Level Impact Podcast, live here on Bay Life Radio. I'm your host, the Tycoon. We got DJ Igor Beats over on the ones and twos. And want to appreciate everybody that's here to, share this time with us, man. You know what I'm saying? It's the middle of April. It's actually spring weather. It's been a lot of sunshine, but there's been a lot of rain popping off too. So a couple rainy days here and there, but we getting through it. But yeah, I just want to say that we do appreciate everybody that's tuning in, whether you at work, in school, on vacation. I know some people is doing that because the weather's changing, but wherever y'all listening from, we just want y'all to know that we appreciate y'all. I don't know where to start. Y'all gotta excuse me. I had a surgery since the last show. I guess I'll start there. I had briefly spoke about it, but not really into too much detail, as far as on air or, out in the public. But, I had a procedure done on Friday. I'm saying because it's the weed kicking in, y'all. It ain't but once I get to explaining, you'll wonder why. I had a surgery done. It was an outpatient surgery, meaning same day surgery in and out, for people that don't know what outpatient mean. But an outpatient procedure done with the dermatologist. and I've learned a lot in a short amount of time. It's very important that we take care of our health, y'all, and that's what I was doing, and so it led up to the procedure. I had to go to the dermatologist because I had with just a little short backstory, I had injured myself before on a job, on some previous jobs where I had hit my head like on a carport and one time up against a cabinet too. So um, I had like a knots on my head, but they wasn't going away. Um, and like I said, just checking on my health, I worried about it. You know what I mean? So and typically, what we do if ain't nothing wrong, we all right. But you know, I started thinking about it because part of me was scared too. If hey, what's going on? What could this be? And or if I, was gonna have to get some kind of procedure done. Well, I, kind of, I don't know what it was, but I kind of got over it and discussed it with the doctor. I guess kind of what got over it was helped me get over it was social media. Um, these different apps. When you get to watching reels and stuff, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys have seen it, whether you're on TikTok or TikTok, Snapchat, uh, shit, X, all of them now, Facebook, all Instagram, they all have a reel section, I guess, where random videos will pop up, and so I used to see these videos of this one show. I believe it was a Dr. Pimple Popper show, and it's showing these different cases and procedures that was being performed. And I'm looking at some of that stuff, and I'm like, well, I'm wondering if that's what I got, or what, or what it could be, different things. And so I ended up scheduling an appointment. I ended up getting a referral to the dermatologist, and from there they examined me, and it was like, hey, well, if this is what you want to do, can remove it. Um, and I was also told that it was non-benign, or it wasn't cancerous, I guess. So that was a good thing, but it was still it was uncomfortable, and I wanted to get it removed. Um, all of them, like I said, it's multiple. So I thought that I was going to get both of them removed at the same time, um, but because of their locations and stuff, that wasn't the case. And I know y'all like, well, what is you talking about? Because I'm always wearing hats. You know what I mean? So yeah, you wouldn't really notice, unless I take my hat off, and then he was like, oh wow. So I we decided on which one to remove, and it was an experience. That's all I could say. I was just talking to you about it, Igor. Like, I couldn't believe that they didn't put me under for the for the surgery. And that was one of the things that shocked me about it. Like, I was wide awake, um, and like I was saying, I've seen some of these procedures done. I guess they do them live on that show or whatever. That's what the show is about. It's reality TV. But even watching those videos, I couldn't believe that they were operating on those people like that. Like, wait a minute, you're cutting into my head and removing stuff and doing it, and I'm wide awake, and yeah, it was an experience. Did I feel stuff? Yes. Did I feel pain? Not exactly. Of course, I did after the procedure when the numbing medicine wore off, the lidocaine or whatever. But yeah, I did. I felt everything. It's like the same way when you get in your, you might be getting dental work done. Say you're getting a root canal, or you're getting a tooth pulled. You're getting a tooth pulled. they numb you up, and and they go right to work, and you can feel what's going on. You know, you just your nerves, are impaired, so you don't feel them until till the medicine wears off. Well, imagine that inside of the back of your head. Uh, it was weird. It was weird. Like I said, I don't know why they even have people conscious while they're doing those procedures. Um, and part of that too made me nervous when you think about it, especially because it's like, well, what if they do it to, make sure that they don't accidentally do something and, a person's,
Could you
that a person's, what's the name?
could you hear him?
They motors, yeah.
You could?
But-
You could hear everything?
Yeah, I could hear everything. That's what I was saying, and I could hear everything, and I could feel everything. It just wasn't any pain associated with it. The surgeon was talking to me the whole time that it was going on, and asking, of course, explaining what he was doing, and telling me basically you're gonna feel, you're gonna feel some pressure here, you're gonna feel some pressure there, and that's what it was for the, maybe the first 2 minutes of it, in my opinion. But once they got to going to work, you could feel it. You can feel it, and that, what I mean is it just felt like somebody was digging around literally in the back of my head.
You can feel it, and but was it hurting?
No, it wasn't hurting because of the pain medication. The anesthesia, whatever they call it. I know it's the actual, what they actually shot me with was lidocaine, I believe. The basic anesthesias that they use for surgeries, for outpatient surgeries. But yeah, like you said, no, I felt every cut, everything. It just, there was no pain associated with it. And then when they were talking about the pressure, yeah, at the point where I guess they got to removing it, and what it was is, I guess it turned out they said it was a cyst in one area and lipoma in another area, you guys. And so, you get some time, you can look those up and see what they are. But, yeah, I guess at the point when they got to removing it, that's when it started feeling real. Because, yeah, it feels like I'm laying like face down there. I'm trying not to move, but the whole time they're moving. And when I say them, it was the surgeon and the assistant. So, I couldn't really tell. I mean, I think the surgeon was mainly, it was his hands mainly. But, yeah, it was a lot of just, a lot of tugging. At different points in time, for some people that have long hair, when you're getting your hair parted in the back, for braids, especially, if you're black and, we got coarse hair, you know what I mean? And depending on how long or short your hair is, how they really got to grip it, you know what I mean? They really got to get that grip on your scalp. That's what it felt like, at different points in time during the procedure. I kind of want to say I felt a little relief when they actually removed the cyst. I seen it. It was almost like it's kind of like a shriveled up boiled egg. You know what I mean? As far as the size. But yeah, between them removing it, and then I want to say I felt like pressure relief, but what really shocked me, which was what happened next. And again, like I said, I'm wide awake. They talking to me, I'm responding. I'm not trying to say too much, but I am talking and responding to them. But they have a process called cauterization. And that was the weirdest thing. I don't know how to describe it really. I'm still, even now, it's a couple days later,
What
when
is
I
that?
think
What
about
is
it.
that?
So what it is they take, I guess it's a metal instrument, like an iron instrument, and I'm not sure exactly if it's just, you know, I mean, if it's like shooting a laser necessarily, or if it's something, or however the instrument works, where the end of the instrument it heats up. But basically, they were zapping the inside of my head, of the different muscle tissue to prevent bleeding. So they was trying to stop the bleeding, of course, in the middle of the procedure, so I wouldn't bleed all over the place. They was doing that to stop the bleeding, so then they can sew me up. Um, it was a trip. It was a trip because the whole time I'm hearing a beeping noise and I'm hearing and feeling a buzzing, like a buzzing sound and a buzzing feeling. And it was them zapping me on the inside of my head where they had cut me at to, stop the bleeding. That's to cauterize, I guess, the tissue. Um, in addition to that, you could smell smoke because that's essentially what it's doing, is like singeing it, you know what I mean, and burning it off. Um, so yeah, I guess now I kind of know what a barbecued human might smell like, but I don't know. It was kind of hard for me. It wasn't like the smell or anything. Like, it wasn't strong to me. It was kind of hard for me to smell, honestly, too, because they had, like I said, I was face down for the procedure. But I could smell, the smoke still. Um, but yeah, that was a weird experience. And then after that, they again pulled my, I guess, pulled my scalp back together. You know, put in a couple sets of stitches and sent me on my way. Altogether, it was like I was at the office for about an hour. The procedure itself was 20 minutes. And of course, I'm talking about 20 minutes kind of from them starting it to patching me up. You know what I mean? Um, they came in, like I said, gave me about, I don't know, it felt like 8 or 9 shots, and that was weird because I do have a lot of tattoos, but I'm not a fan of needles outside of getting tattoos. And even tattoos, it got to be something that I really want to get. Um, I have to count them to see how many I got now, but I've lost count of how many tattoos I have. But some of them, I can be honest with you, certain areas where that needle was hitting, I was like, I don't think hold on, that's a little too much pain. But yeah, I think that was one of the most uncomfortable parts of the surgery, was in the beginning with them having to shoot me with the anesthesia. You know what I mean? Because they literally, you know, well, first of all, because you had asked me about it off before we started the show, as far as if it was causing me any pain or stuff prior to this, and I was explaining to you, yeah, sometimes, or it feels like pressure. It's hard for me to like lay on the back of my head, and so, typically it's not like it's just a tender area or anything, but I don't mess with it, right? But when it came time, look, Igor, when it came time for them to give me the shot, all I know is they grabbed the area, and I'm talking about like really, forcefully grab, yeah, and I don't know how long the needle was, but again, like it's my head, so that just felt crazy because you know, you could feel it. And you know, it's a quick sensation when you're getting, you know, a needle when they pierce you with the needle. But still, after them having to do it a few times, I was, you know, that was enough for me. I kind of wish that if they was gonna do all of that, I think I should have been put under. You know, but I'm glad you know, it went well. Um, it's over with now. We'd have to try to zoom in on the cameras, and I don't even know if y'all can catch that. But you know, like I said, this is really one of my first days wearing hats. But in the back of my head, I got, you know, big old scar. So you know, hopefully it'll heal up before the sun get too hot out here. Cause you know I might want to be. You might see me walking around with a bald head this summer. That's in the plan. You know what I mean? But I gotta heal all the way up first and have the other procedure and stuff done too. But yeah, it was an experience. And it made me appreciate, you know, when we sit here and we talk about the different stuff that's going on in the world, or even with our own, you know, our own country here in regards to medical health, different, you know, all these different topics. It really made me reflect on some of that, you know, because, again, this process in itself was different because I don't know if I mentioned it already, but they didn't give me any, I wasn't prescribed any pain medicine or anything afterwards, which I thought was kind of odd. I mean, you know, you just cut on somebody's head, you know, but they just sent me on my way. So it was like once the anesthesia wore off, basically to just take Tylenol, you know. So, again, that's why y'all see me with the joint in my hand right now, because Tylenol just ain't cutting it sometimes, you know. I mean, I've been walking around with with a slight headache. It hasn't been, you know, that bad, but yeah, it's, you know, throbbing a little bit. Tomorrow will be exactly 1 week from when I had the procedure done. So, you know, other than that, it's kind of cool. It just feels like, you know, when you fall and scrape your knee, you know what I mean? It just is on my head, you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that I was able to get it done. You know, a lot of us, like I said, we take certain things for granted. And when they do talk about these other countries versus ours, too, when it comes to medical insurance and, you know, just even overall treatment and different stuff, you know, I'm grateful that it went as smooth as it did with no problem. But, yeah, you know, I'm kind of upset that they didn't give me no pain medicine. But, again, you know, when you reflect on it, hey, some places they don't get no pain medicine, period. You know, or certain procedures, if you can't afford the numbing medicine, then you don't get it. You know, so yeah, I'm grateful that it went cool. And you know, again, I encourage everybody, for those that are worried about, you know, the state of you know, medical insurance and different things like that here in our country, I suggest you go ahead and take the time right now while you still can to, you know, get yourself checked out. Make sure everything right with you. You know, that's all I can really say, because it's better to know. It's better to know than something happened later on and it could have been prevented, or you could have got treated for it, you know, and now, you know, things might be a little different, situations might be different, you know, might not have the same insurance coverage. It's crazy, you know. I'm for real. I reflect on it a lot. Another side note, I got a dentist appointment next weekend, but you know, I've been going to the dentist regularly, but about a month or two ago, I was trying to see about getting a procedure done, and so they made a referral, and initially they were talking about like $1,900, something ridiculous. It was something ridiculous, and it wasn't for a big procedure either. It was for something real small. But I thought that was insane, and I'm like, well, my insurance doesn't cover it, and the receptionist or whoever answered the phone, they at the time the representative on the phone, they didn't know for sure, or I guess if there was a different way they were supposed to enter my information, so they took my information down to have somebody call me back, and when they called me back, and I don't know if it was a surgeon or whoever it was, they had more insight on the situation, and that's when they told me, quoted me a different price, which was literally half of what I was told the first time. So it went from, it went from being like, $1,800, $1,900 or something, to them taking it down to like $800. So yeah, that shit is like $1,000 off.
That's the part for me that makes it hard for me to trust the doctors, because at a certain level they turn into a salesman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You just got half off of an emergency life-saving procedure.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not talking about for this. This is something different. But yeah, I mean, either way it goes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and what the insurance. I mean that's the tricky part. That's the tricky part. I see why, some of the stuff been happening and people have been wilding out, because you'd be surprised to where it's like, okay, based off of this piece of paper, or based off of whether or not they consider you meet certain qualifications, is the difference on whether you pay to get procedures done or how much you pay, basically, yeah, I don't know. First of all, I'll put it like this. Me personally, I think kids, because I know in other countries, and I understand too that some of those countries are smaller than the United States, but if we could afford it, I don't think that children should, have to pay for health care. And I know y'all about to say, well, they don't. There's Medi-Cal and this and that. But that's not all the way true, because you still have to, those kids, the households they come from, still have to qualify. So it's a lot of kids out here that don't have medical insurance right now, simply because, the system is saying that their parents don't meet certain qualifications, meaning, the poverty scale and the income scale has changed. We know this, but I don't think that they fully have adjusted it within the system. You know what I mean? So it's like, and they're starting to now, but until they do like a complete, update from top to bottom, it's still going to be confusing, because when you look at it, okay, if you're not working, well, it was like this before, because I think Trump had just changed it, where, if you weren't working, or, so, if you didn't have no income, or if you were homeless, for example, certain benefits you would get automatically. Kids, and people having kids, basically from newborn, I think, to like toddler, they're supposed to be covered, regardless, if you have income or not, or if you can afford insurance or not. I think that should be extended. I think that for the kids, because, all the way up until 18, they're developing. And so when you're talking about kids having to have, kids having different conditions and stuff during their developmental stage, certain procedures are important. whether they're medical or dental, and they're needed, they're necessary, and can affect things long term. I don't think that we should have to pay for those. You know, I mean, we should have to pay for it, but the kids don't shouldn't have to necessarily. I mean, you know, if their parents, of course, can afford it, no problem. But if they can't, I don't see why they still can't get treated. You know, other than that, I mean, the rest of it, you know, is there scams involved? Is there certain rules that need to be changed? Absolutely. I mean, that's been an ongoing thing with insurance companies and stuff. I mean, you know, y'all seen what just happened? Was it last year with the CEO of that one insurance company? You know, he was shot, but there's been other situations like that with CEOs of other insurance companies and things revolving around that, as well as medical facilities, you know, over whether or not they treated patients, and you know it was based off of quote unquote insurance. Yeah, I just think they maybe need to look at that too. But first thing is first is they gotta stop spending money on the war. In my opinion, you know, they claim that it's a ceasefire going on, but I guess ain't nobody necessarily ceasing fire like that. It's still, yeah, but they're supposed to be in negotiations right now. It's been going on for about a week, and it's supposed to be, I guess, continued. But hopefully, like I said, they can, you know, get that over and done with, so we can get back to focusing on, you know, like I said, the stuff that matters. And for example, and I'm not saying that this don't matter, but I'ma like this on this too. I just seen it today that the Trump administration has now reclassified marijuana or cannabis, if you will. So, you know, I want to take a moment to light up for that. But I think that that's, first of all, that's something that I think they should have already done. As far as reclassifying marijuana or medicinal marijuana. So at first it was classified by the federal government as was it a Schedule 1? Is it a Schedule 1 drug? Am I saying it right? Like with heroin and, you know, heroin and all that other stuff that's classified as Schedule 1 drugs, which means that, you know, that they're addictive, you know, they're more considered to be more dangerous, and along with heroin, I want to say LSD and a couple other ones are listed as Schedule 1 under the Controlled Substances Act. LSD, MDMA, synthetic opioids, those are all Schedule 1 drugs. Schedule 3 classifications is stuff like ketamine, steroids, testosterone. So by them doing that, basically they're saying that, you know, it's not as dangerous. Again, this is something that they've been new, that I think that they should have did it a long time ago, because you know, it affects other things in the country, from economic standpoint to the judicial system, you know, everything. I know one of the things that is supposed to be taking place, because they just did, by them reclassifying it, is that now, I guess, certain companies, the people that are in the industry, I guess, it changes their taxes. You know, I'm trying to look for the exact. I don't think it says it here. I seen it say earlier that yeah, they're supposed to get a bigger tax break now. I guess for people that are involved in the cannabis industry because of this new classification. Um, why not? I mean, there are some proven. I mean, they go back and forth, but there have been some proven medical benefits to it. It's also been proven that it's not as dangerous as those other drugs that they were classifying in that same category. Um, I think we passed that. You know, they know it has been used for a lot of, other things, and like I said, stuff. Even in regards to like what I'm about to do right now. For organic healing. You know, people want stuff that's a little bit more natural. And it's natural, so I don't really see why is it being classified. I always thought, and I said this too. I had a not an argument, but a lightweight debate. We were going back and forth, me and somebody in a chat group the other day, because they referred to weed as a drug, and it's 2026. I thought we had been there and done all of that. So, and my response, and again, just yeah, I'm a stoner. I'm definitely a advocate for marijuana, but I don't see an issue with it. I never considered it a drug. When they said drug, I remember too growing up when we, the word, it just sounded, scary. It sounded wrong. You know, then of course, once we, like, what was that? What was that movie that Reefer Madness? you know, then you remember hearing about Reefer Madness. I remember them showing us that, and in school and the Dare program and all these different things. Just say no to drugs and some of it I understood, but I never quite got it when they got to the smoking weed part, because I'm like, okay, it's a plant. All those other drugs that they were mentioning were, they're man-made. That's what separates them, with the exception, and I'll say this because I did say this in the chat group, and you guys, of course, if you want to give your opinion, leave your thoughts in the comment section. We'd love to hear them. But I always thought, to me, I guess heroin is man-made. What it originates from is not, where is, the as far as the opium, whatever it comes, from actual plant. You know what I mean? So, and same thing with cocaine. You know what I'm saying? It comes from the coca leaf. We all know this. So, to me, and I mean, of course, too, when you look actually into the history of certain places, especially where those plants grow, and even see how it was processed, or, how they use it over there compared to these other places, they're doing it the more natural way. You're seeing is getting harvested from fields, and it's kind of just, it's crushed down into a powder form. But again, that's just, it's all coming organically from the earth. Now, once they get to mixing stuff and adding all this other stuff into it, that's what makes it man-made. And like when they use the word synthetic, to me, that's what I think of when they, man-made stuff. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, the other stuff that has to be made in a quote unquote chemical lab, you know, or even a garage lab, is still something that's man made um, versus something that actually comes from a plant, you know. I don't consider those, you know, drugs necessarily. And, you know, truth be told, when you look at it, in my opinion, from now to back in the day, you know, yeah, people were using, but even some of the people that were using, you know, you could see some people would be using and would still be in good health. You know what I mean? Um, versus others weren't. But I'm also looking at it as, like I was saying too, over time, it's a lot of synthetic stuff going on. It's a lot of man-made stuff that people are putting into their bodies, and you know that's gonna throw you off. Just like all this fake food that they starting to make now with cloning animals and stuff. So you know, it's like yeah, it's in my opinion, it wasn't never as I mean, well, of course those other drugs, quote unquote, you know, like I said, they're a lot more dangerous. They're a lot more addicting. Um, you know, they people overdose and die off of some of them. So, you know, I can understand the seriousness of those being classified a certain way. But what has weed ever done to anybody? I don't think I've heard of anybody spazzing out over smoking some weed unless it has something in it. That's the only time. Or you talking about a person with mental illness, like whoever that is that's blowing on that horn outside. Can y'all hear that? That's crazy. Somebody is laying on the horn. If you listen to the show right now and you outside the studio, that is ridiculous. You got a phone. I don't think it's anybody for here, but I'm just saying, whoever y'all trying to get in contact with, you know, get their attention. We got devices for that. Y'all don't have to just lay on the horn. Plus, I got a headache. Oh, all right. I guess that's my fault, y'all. So look, I'm gonna be right back. I gotta move my car out this driveway, and yeah, we're gonna play a commercial real quick.
Yo, 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 what's up, Dunn? Welcome to the illest, realest, trillest podcast you ever gonna witness in your life. The Juan and Phil podcast. Sponsored by your boy, I'm Juan. Yo, yo, and then the place to be is the capital P. Recognize who's wrecking guys all up in our new podcast. You got your boy Phil all up in the house. Stand up, y'all. Yee! Yeah, so you better hide your chicken nuggets, cause we out here eating your food. The Wanna Feel podcast, baby. And today's episode is sponsored by the drink Blood de Whack. Blood de Whack. When you wanna drink the blood of the wackest motherfuckers in the game. Tasty. We love drinking the blood of the whack cause it makes us crazy. Crazy. And we have special guests in the building too. Straight from Brick City, the Funk Doc himself, Redman. What up, Doc? And we have some hip-hop legends straight from the West Coast in the building. Straight from Compton Most Wanted, the legendary MC8 in the building. I wonder if MC8 will send me an eighth. Yo, but you can't say Compton without saying this great name. We got motherfucking Ice Cube! Oh, shit. With the Wanna Feel podcast, we want to give props where props are due. We want to recognize hip-hop's first bad guy. And no, it's not 50 Cent. Even though Crush Groove was the best hip-hop movie ever, we want to recognize the bad guy in the movie Beat Street. Roll the film, Shady.
hear something?
And now, back to Juan and Phil, bitches.
Yo, straight from the underground, because we dug them up from under the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Spit. Yeah, boy.
Right now? Okay.
This is dedicated to the niggas that was down from day one.
The one in Phil.
Nah, I was saying, yeah, we back, y'all. Sorry about that, but that was that was funny. Cause the whole time I'm sitting there talking about how rude it was. And it was somebody honking because my car was blocking. That's crazy. That don't make no sense. But hey, in all fairness, I was trying to make sure I was here on time for y'all. And at the same time, like me and Igor just talked about, I wasn't aware that was a driveway in that area. Some people, and you know, I ain't no snitch. I ain't no hater. But it's cool when they do it, and it's a problem when I do it. You know? Shout out to Finesse 2 times. But yeah, it trips me out how some people can get away with certain stuff. You know? Where the rest of us can't. And why is that? You know, that's what I'm saying. This whole, you know, this whole thing needs, you know, like I said, it need a do-over. You feel me? Like, y'all gotta, you know, y'all gotta come anew on all levels, because even that, you know, like I said, just how you just gonna make your own rules. You know what I'm saying? And that relates to everything. I mean, like, that, you know, that happened to me. Well, shit, it happens to me damn near every day on the road. You know, you'd be surprised, especially when y'all, you know, I do a lot of driving, as I've told you guys before. You know, a lot of commuting, and it just kills me how, you know, you expected to pay all of this money to be able to do certain things, but then there's other people that aren't and doing the same thing. You know, when I be driving and, you know, carpool time, the carpool lane, You know, some of them, like we talked about with Fast Track, they're making it where you got to pay for it. Other places, it's still, still old school. You got to have a certain amount of people in the vehicle, and either way it go, well, when it comes to that in the carpool lane, like if Highway Patrol see you and pull you over, that's a $500 ticket. You get what I'm saying? $490, I guess. $490 ticket, and I don't be seeing it. I see people get pulled over every once in a while, but I really don't be seeing it. I be on the freeway, and sometimes it be pissing me off because I know that's why I be late, because I done left in enough time, and I'm in the carpool lane, but the carpool lane starting to get full. But then when you look, it be people in there solo bolo. You know what I'm saying? They just, because they got little lightweight tents on their car. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about all walks of life too. And some of y'all, you done seen them before. Some of y'all might be the ones I'm talking about that's listening to this show. But it's like, yeah, trying to just, do things your way. And then, and it's cool until somebody else do it to you, or until you got to be held accountable for it. I don't feel that. Some people sense of entitlement and stuff is beyond me. Just like, like that situation. Like I said, just how you just gonna create, you don't own it. That's the other thing too. I can't stand that. And we just gonna, again, I ain't no snitch, but if you don't own something, you don't own it. You're not in a position to change certain stuff around. And even if you did, there's a certain process that's supposed to take place. Stuff has to be permitted on one level or another. So, making all these alterations or adjustments and, building on top of stuff without actually going through the proper way, that's like crazy. You know what I'm saying? And again, it's not fair to the other people in the area, the other residents, or, the other people in that community, or that's even in that space that got to worry about nonsense and, about parking or any of that. I don't understand. But, and let us know. That's what I'm saying. It need to be one way. If it's cool and everybody do what they want to do, then everybody just do what they want to do. It's real simple. I'm glad to see that they starting to give out tickets to bicycle riders now. I guess over in the city, they I guess was down there near the ferry building and towards the piers and stuff, downtown San Francisco. And they were actually issuing out tickets to cyclists, to bicycle riders, because they weren't obeying the traffic laws. Now, and yes, in case you're wondering, I'm about to get into that. It is a moving violation. You are operating a vehicle. Now, they didn't highlight that before, and that's what I mean about, they need to go ahead and revamp some stuff. But yes, technically, riding not a motorcycle, but even a bicycle, riding bike is considered a vehicle, and you are expected to obey certain laws. They have bike lanes in almost every city now. If not every city. In addition to that, in San Francisco, they actually have bike lights. Yeah, they have bike lights. So separate from the traffic light on the street in the intersection, there's also a light there too for the bike lane, to correlate with the traffic light, to let you know when to stop, when to go. And like I was saying, especially in areas like, you figure downtown San Francisco, where a lot of it, they've changed that around now. Certain streets, you can't drive a car down the street no more. You know what I mean? Unless it's an Uber. Some you can't even do that no more. You know, it's basically just the bus and the streetcars and bikes. You know, on certain streets, of course, you know, they do intersect with other streets, but for the most part, like Market Street downtown, you're not allowed to drive on Market Street anymore, which is something unimaginable to me. I mean, of course, it didn't happen till, you know, this much later in my life, you know what I mean? But yeah, my whole life, cars been able to drive down there. So that's a new experience. But I understand for safety reasons and the population, people walking around. But then, you know, even with creating bike lanes, making some places where the bicycle riders, you know, they could safely ride their bike, you know. I'm all for that too. I understand it. But the problem that I have with it, well, two problems. One, it created a serious parking problem. Because for them creating those bike lanes, a lot of places, you know, even here, even downtown Oakland, you know, those were parking spaces. So now, if, you know, where normally you'd be able to park on that street, you can't park no more because that whole section is literally a bike lane, and they've put up those little cement barriers, you know what I mean, to separate it, you know. Yeah, like that makes things, you know, even more complicated and chaotic for residents that are, you know, trying to, you know, travel downtown, whether for work, you know, anything else recreational, especially for the residents that live down there. You know, we was talking about that last week when it come to, you know, parking tickets and all of that kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? But is that and the fact that bicycle riders do not obey the law. They figure they do what they want to do. Okay? Yesterday I was downtown Oakland, and, you know, you see it because a lot of people ride bikes. But I was seeing a lot of people running red lights on a bicycle. Like they was asking to get hit by a car, you know. And a couple of times, you know, the car had to, you know, cars had to kind of stop. And luckily, I guess there was nobody behind them where it could have caused collisions, you know, unnecessarily. I'm seeing people do that. I'm seeing people run a red light on a bicycle and then turn around and go up a street in the wrong direction against traffic. And we talking about riding in the middle of the street, not even in a bike lane, riding in the middle of the street, no helmets on, you know, in and out of lanes, trying to just slide between cars. That's dangerous. To me, I think that that's, you know, and again, you know, we don't consider it necessarily the same as a car or like a motorcycle because there's no engines, but in actuality nowadays, with these electric bikes and everything else having motors on them too, you know, it is the same thing. So yeah, that's operating a vehicle. But I'm talking about the people even on just the regular pedal bikes doing this kind of shit. And it don't make no sense. You know, and like you said, trying to squeeze between cars and, you know, when they first started letting motorcycle riders do it on the freeway, I thought it was hella dumb and dangerous. Because there's been plenty of times where I've accidentally, you know, well, not accidentally, because I didn't hit anybody, but, you know, where I almost could have, you know, where I'm trying to change lanes and, you know, they riding so fast on a motorcycle, sometimes you don't see them. And here you are trying to change a lane, and they're riding in between the lane. And we're not just talking about, small bikes, or, we talking Harleys. That's what make it even worse, because y'all got the Harleys with the extra compartments on the side. So now it's, you know what I mean? That's making it a little wider. The space in between cars on as far as the lanes go is not that big. So now you sitting here, trying to squat in between the cars or trucks and stuff, and this is dangerous. But it's even more dangerous doing it on the street, on a pedal bike, or even an electric bike. But it's dangerous. And so what they did was they've been giving out tickets because, like I said, the cyclists out there, they're not obeying the traffic lights. They still running the lights or whatever. And like I said, there's potential for disaster. So, glad to hear that they're enforcing it. Make everybody abide by the rules. They covered it on the news the other day. And it was funny because one of the people that they stopped and gave a ticket, you know what their response was, Igor? Oh, I thought I had the right of way. And no, you don't. Pedestrians have the right of way. And even that, I think that law needs to be revisited. I don't think pedestrians should have the right of way all the time. I understand it growing up, but we grew up in a different time. We grew up in a time where common sense was a little bit more common. The whole pedestrian right-of-way laws and all of that, we understood that as, okay, one of the reasons those laws were put in place is because if they're on foot, they're not able to protect themselves or move as fast as somebody in a motor vehicle, which makes sense. So in certain cases, hey, if you see them out on the street, slow down or wait, stop and wait for them to clear the road. I don't have a problem with that, especially in country areas too, because, I've lived in some other places, and yeah, when you talking country roads and there ain't no sidewalk, a person is walking right along the side of the road. And so there's nowhere else for them to cross. There's no, designated area all the time, especially if you're talking about country roads. But I still think they need to revisit that law, because yesterday, as I was pulling into North Oakland, over by, what's that, Children's, right? You know how you get off the freeway? Was that, Yeah, Martin Luther King, yeah. As you're getting off right there, and then, that's a freeway exit. You get what I'm saying? And it comes straight on, like you said, yeah, it runs right, runs right into Martin Luther King way. There's no stop light, no stop sign or nothing. You get what I'm saying? It's just, it's straight a freeway off ramp, that goes straight onto the road. Certain times of the day during commute hour, it's traffic, it's bumper to bumper over there because everybody getting off work trying to make it home, which is understandable. But what I noticed was that yesterday, as I was exiting from there, right as you come around a little turn, right? Now, mind you, it was traffic time, so it was a lot of cars. And thankfully it was. But I seen somebody try to actually cross the street. And so this dude is walking in between the cars coming from the side of the hospital, trying to get across the street. And that didn't make no sense to me because there's no crosswalk there. There's no light of any kind, And it wasn't, you know, it wouldn't matter what age the person was. It was obvious that they made a conscious decision to walk that way, like they were taking a shortcut. You understand what I'm saying? Instead of walking the way that they were supposed to. And like I said, you know, that's what a lot of the problems is people trying to take, you know, try to bend the rules to benefit them. Now, to me, I thought that it was the dumbest thing ever because it's a freeway off-ramp. Anything could be happening right there. And people coming around this bend don't even have enough reaction time, really, if they, you know what I mean? They might not even see you. It's too late. Your knee's already in the air. I mean, you know, your shoes is already, excuse me, but, you know, I remember one time I seen somebody get hit. I'll never forget it because it was somebody that I knew and they was talking to me when it happened. They crossed the street on E14. You guys know it's International Boulevard. But this is back in the day. I used to go to Havens Court Junior High School. And so we was walking down the street after school. And you know how it is. You walking with your folks after school and shit. And then when y'all get to y'all certain, you know, the certain destination, you know, y'all about to split up. Well, I want to say it was 63rd or 60, or is it 62nd? Like over there where the McDonald's is, and the other Los Palmas. You know what I'm talking about, Igor? Is that like 64th? 61st. No. E1. 64th. Yeah, like, okay, so we walking, and like I said, coming from Havens Court, coming from the school. Yeah. So as we about to separate, you know, he decides that he's going to cross the street right there. So as he's running, you know, he's running across the street, you know, he turning around to me with the, you know, all right, man, I'm going to holler at you later. And next thing you know, he got hit as he was saying that to me. You know, that boy's shoe went up in the air a good 30 feet. His shoe flew smooth the fuck off. And, you know, he didn't get beat, you know, he didn't get hurt too bad, you know what I'm saying? And, of course, there was other people around, so, you know, people jumped in the street to, you know, make sure that the car didn't drive off or anything like that hit him. But, you know, I think about that, especially now that I'm older and tripping off the way people act in the street because who's at fault? You know? Like, even then, it was like, okay, they was driving, and they could have been driving a little too fast or might just not have seen him, but he wasn't necessarily in a crosswalk when he did it. You know what I mean? He wasn't at a stoplight. You know, so I think that, like I said, even as pedestrians, you know, everybody needs to follow the rules and be accountable because I see that happen all the time now. You know, or like I said, people jumping out in front of, you know, I pass through downtown every day, and, you know, you got people that are still, they see that the traffic has the green light and they still step out there off the curb. You know what I mean? Like they just gonna test the waters. I don't think that that's fair, you know. And well, luckily, I guess now they turning the speed cameras on. But does that mean that, you know, are all the cameras functioning as far as they able to catch that kind of traffic too? And, you got 2 tickets? Oh shit. Well, I mean that's to collect the money. But I'm just saying, okay, in the event where, like, say it's an accident involving a pedestrian, but the pedestrian was actually in the wrong, because they, walked out on a green light. You know what I'm saying? Is there any way to pull that evidence up? That's what I'm saying. Is there any way to pull that footage back up in those type of traffic accidents? Or are they going to tell you? I remember I told you before I got in one car accident and they tried to tell me that the cameras wasn't working. So, since the cameras, are up now, like you said, for the, the red lights or the speeding, are they catching anything else that happens in that area? How can we find that out? I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it because... Well, no, you said the flock cameras are... I thought that those just like... Again, that they just capture stuff, right? They just capture photos, right? Like snap a photo. Yeah, but is there a live? That's what I was trying to say. Like, other than snapping photos, none of those will catch like live footage, or even if they, or even if they taken, even if it's video or snapshot, they do? They take both? So in the event of an accident, then I wonder what will you have to do? Are they able to pull that footage up? Like I said, because if it's a accident involving a pedestrian, but the pedestrian was in the wrong, like if it shows that they intentionally stepped out, they made a conscious decision, stepped out, even though this car was approaching, and they stepped out when the car didn't have enough reaction time. Who's at fault? Because I bet you if they start holding some pedestrians accountable for some of that, instead of people thinking they getting free lawsuit money.
You can get the footage, you'd have to subpoena it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to take them to trial.
Or you have to file a Public Records Act request to access it.
And that's for out here.
You have 1 to 2 weeks to request the footage.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. So, I guess, because that's supposed to be, they not supposed to, quote unquote, store it for that long. But that's bullshit, because what if the DA, they going to pull the footage right then for them?
The camera you're talking about are just the traffic surveillance cameras.
Okay.
Those cameras cannot store video. They're just for live real time.
That don't make no sense.
The red light and speeding cameras can have recorded footage.
Yeah.
However, in Oakland, some of the safety cameras data have strict limitations on sharing.
I understand. Excuse me. I guess I understand that, but like I said, strict limitations in pertaining to, like if it's an accident and my insurance company was to contact you.
A lawyer can get it.
Okay. All right. But that whole process take longer than 2 weeks. You don't know right off the bat.
Not with the lawyer. It could take 1 to 2 days.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, okay. But I'm still just...
It takes longer if it's a private camera, but it might be easier to get. It takes longer if it's a public camera, but it might be harder to get.
Huh.
That's what I'm reading right here.
Well, they spent all this money on these quote-unquote cameras, Y'all need to figure it out, because what about the driver's rights? That's all I'm saying.
It's crazy because the whole dilemma that I'm seeing is the fact that, okay, on one hand, the cameras invade my privacy until I have a problem. Then, oh my God, I need the camera. Where are they?
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. When it happened to me, when I got into an accident, hit and run, because somebody ran a light, they had stole a car. And in the process of stealing the car, I guess, they ran a light. And when they ran a light, they ran into me, into the car I was in. But, totaled the car.
So who's responsible? The people that stole the car or the people that own the car?
Technically, I'm glad that you asked that. So, and again, this goes back to the bullshit we get to talk about with insurance and, the gray areas and all the back and forth. And that's what all insurance, no matter what type it is, medical or anything else. But in that case, I guess there's a clause with like car insurance companies to where if you report the car stolen, as long as the car is reported stolen,
it's not your fault.
Right. So the owner of the vehicle was not found liable for it, which, it makes sense, but it's still, like you said, of course, for me being a victim in the case, I didn't understand it. I understood it, but I didn't, Like, I was kind of upset about the shit because,
So who was liable?
That's what I'm trying to say. They never caught the people. They didn't catch the people with the car. Because I guess they went so far in it. Because it was a bad crash. So they took off and like got probably like 8 blocks away or something, and then ended up hopping out of the car and taking off on foot. So yeah. But yeah, it was just considered a hit and run in a stolen vehicle. And because, like I said, the person that already reported it stolen. So yeah, they weren't liable for it. So I was just asked out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that situation wasn't cool at all. You know what I mean? And so, again, that's what, like you said, but in that situation, I remember asking about the footage, and at the time I was told that the cameras didn't work. And that was by the officers told me that then. So, this was before COVID, of course. This is, you know what I mean? Different times, but again, what's they there for? And I noticed they didn't put up a lot of new street lights and, traffic lights and everything else all through here. So y'all spent some money. So, the fact that, yeah, and I see y'all trying to get that money back too, because y'all got them cameras working and they sending out tickets. But like you said, yeah, for the, just for overall safety, I mean, because again, it's not always the driver's fault. That's all I'm saying. So I don't think that that's fair. I think they need to revisit that. And I think that they need to start getting down. And again, I'm not a hater, but, it needs to be managed a little bit more. We got people that don't necessarily want to follow the program. So in regards to bikes, and y'all might be mad at me, but hey, y'all got to follow the rules of the road too, and if not, they should be enforced. Just like they enforced on everybody else, But shit. Let me see. What else do I want to talk about today, man? Oh, speaking of which, when I was talking about we were just talking about like even Medi-Cal and stuff earlier, and why you should take care of stuff while you still got it, because you don't know when these resources gonna be available. Did you guys know that they had closed down a bunch of social security offices? Yeah, um, you can look it up, but basically, I'm not sure why they did it, but they closed down. I think. Well, I think it was two things. I think the website, they were either having issues. They were having issues with it, and doing updates. Which, by the way, I'm noticing that that's happening with a lot of these big organizations, including the government organizations, and it's happening on a regular basis, which only tells me that y'all been running for way too long off of old systems. You know what I mean? If you're constantly having to update stuff, and we supposed to have the top-notch technology, you shouldn't be having to be doing all those updates. Um, Especially when you're talking about government websites. You know what I mean? Government websites, the state websites, it's supposed to be the top-notch everything. And shouldn't be you know, no kind of malfunctions or nothing of the sort. You know what I mean? Websites crashing, like the IRS, for example. And that's been going on for a couple years now. And you would think that would have been fixed. But every year, I mean, of course, tax season, but it seems like every year they have the same issue where the website crashes, or it's a high capacity, it's too many people trying to access it. Again, it's the government website. You guys should have unlimited everything. I would think. I don't know, but I guess with the social security offices, the website had been temporarily, not working. But as well, I want to say it was 11, I think 11 states that currently, each state had, California is one of them. I think it was 11 to 13 states where they each had an office that's currently closed or not taking walk-in appointments. Some of them been doing it all week. You know what I mean? Basically, like, they're basically closed this week, or some of them have been closed longer. And I'm not sure why. I mean, is it a staffing, is it a funding and a staffing issue? We know that there's been, layoffs. Yeah, here we go. Social Security office disruptions. List of Social Security offices temporarily closed, facing disruptions. I don't understand. I mean, is it a money problem? What is it? Is y'all, they tried to say before that at one of these days, social services and all that would run out, or Social Security would run out. But they didn't say it was going to happen this fast. They said it was going to happen like, over however many couple of years. But I'm trying to understand why it's not, why they close it. Now they're saying that they're not permanent. Let's see here. The field offices closures listed are not on the Social Security website, are not permanent. Some of the offices are closed due to renovations, required maintenance, or facility issues. So, okay, they're giving that somewhat. But if that's the case, why is the website still having issues? You know? So yeah, some of the locations are in West Virginia, Texas, Pennsylvania, Northern Mariana Islands, Arizona, California, Florida, Hawaii, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, Michigan, and Montana. So those is a lot of different locations. But I believe that it's only like one in each location. I want to say here in California, it's at, want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. I want to say Mission Viejo, California. Make sure I'm saying it right. Yeah, Mission Viejo, which is in Southern California. It's in Orange County. But shit, they only got 90,000 people there. You know? Them 90,000 people going through it. I mean, whatever percentage of them need to contact Social Security in that area, you know, we got to start thinking about that kind of stuff too. Like, because again, they closing down all these other stores and different hospitals, like the hospital in Hayward. I know that they're still trying to get funding to stop from closing down. But it's like, yeah, why, you know, why is that happening, especially in some of those areas where might be a little bit more rural, you know? I mean, the major cities is one thing if you have multiple offices, but if you're talking, you know, more rural areas, smaller towns, where maybe there's only one office and that's serving people, you know, in a large area, what's gonna happen next? And you already know why people is making appointments. You got some people that's, you know, attempting to start their claims to receive benefits, but the rest of the time, it's people still just trying to maintain their benefits. And now that they can't get to the office, or, you know, and let's be truthful, because I teach digital literacy classes now, and I'm seeing it more and more every day. You know, when you're talking about the elderly, you know, a lot of them, they weren't necessarily involved in the digital era like that. So, you know, everything from, you know, the way these phones operate and apps and, you know, everything else is still foreign to them, you know, and some of them are attempting, like the people that come to my class, you know, they're attempting to learn these skills, but then you got some people, you know, they don't really do it. Like I said, they're at a certain age, you know, you figure somebody's 80 years old, you know, they got it to being 80 years old without having to use a tablet or a smartphone or a laptop. It's not necessarily their fault. That's what the world has changed into. Because some people, depending on the work field that you was in, you know, that wasn't a part of it. So now that everything is digital, you can't even make appointments. You know, like the DMV, same thing. You try to go to the DMV, they have you register and, you know, do everything online. You basically, you know, you scan a QR code to get your ticket number and everything else now. They don't necessarily even hand out ticket numbers when you walk in anymore. They tell you scan it with your phone, and then you sit there and, you know, register through the through the app or through your phone, and then it'll tell you what your ticket is, your ticket number is, and, you know, you wait for it to be called or they notify you now through your phone. So all of that is totally different now. I know when people applying for general assistance and stuff like that now, a lot of that, they have apps and websites where you have to set up accounts now and register, and, you know, they want you to submit stuff electronically. I mean, they still, take it if you come in there to, turn in stuff physically, but typically now everything is more paperless. You know what I'm saying? Everything is electronic, even with notifications, and we spoke on that like a month ago because the U.S. Post Office the Postal Service made an announcement that they're running out of funds, between the shortage on employees, but the fact that everything is going paperless, they don't even have enough money to continue operating past the end of this year. Well, that only complicates things for the elderly people because, like we said, especially if you're in the rural areas because you don't know how to use a computer, on top of not knowing how to use a computer or not really being, tapped into the digital network, the old-fashioned systems are being, removed as well. So if there's no way for you to get any important information, notifications and stuff, because there's no notices coming by postage mail anymore, and if you don't know how to set up these accounts, you kind of stuck. You got to wait for somebody else to do it for you or different thing. It just makes things complicated. So, also, again, when it comes to all of that stuff, take care of your business. You know what I mean? When it comes to making your appointments, like I said, first of all, I'm going to just throw this little lug out there too real quick. Like I said, I do teach digital literacy classes. Anybody that is in Oakland, in East or West Oakland, I teach 3 classes a week. You're more than welcome to sign up. It's a 4-week course. And upon completion of the courses, you receive a certificate as well as a laptop. You know what I mean? We're trying to close the digital divide out here and make sure that everybody has digital access. So anybody ages 18 to 80, you're more than welcome to sign up. And if you or somebody that is interested, tap in, leave a comment, or leave an email address, or better yet, you can contact me on any one of the social media sites. You'll see I'm advertising for it as well. But, just look up the Tycoon, DATYKOON, on all platforms, social media platforms. You know what I mean? I'm not advertising this on YouTube. But, on Facebook, Instagram, on X, you can tap in with me there if you're interested in digital literacy. And like I said, getting your skills up, or if it's somebody that and you think, hey, they need this because you're tired of them asking you to do stuff for you all the time. I know how that is. I have people, hey, how do you work this? Or how do you save this on the phone? Or how do you I want to send this to somebody. And, it's something we all gotta tap in with. Like I said, even looking for jobs is different now, where you have to do everything electronically. You got to register multiple websites. They want you to set up accounts on each website. Now you're trying to remember a million different usernames and passwords, and trying to dissect which ones you need that are actually important, and make sure all of those are synced in, and then you kind of get fall off from the rest. But it's something that we gotta know how to do now. Like I said, the days is over with. You can't you want to schedule any type of appointment, I'm pretty sure they're gonna, direct you to a website to do so, or an app. Even when you go to the doctor now, doctor they have you sign up for the My Chart. I think that's how it said it, because I got it. It's My Chart or My Health something, but it's basically an app. And I'm gonna give you guys a story. I went to a doctor's appointment, This was probably in January or February. I went to the doctor's appointment, and you know, at the end of your appointment, you're normally supposed to get they give you a printout, you know, to basically say what you know, what you were there for and everything else. They didn't, their printer wasn't working. So since their printer wasn't working, what did they have me do? Well, you know, they just told me, oh, you can still check it from the app. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it was the summary and everything of, you know, what happened at the visit, my prescriptions, all of that stuff, you know, test results and things like that. But yeah, instead of them giving it to me physically to have a copy, you know, it's, oh, well, you can just check the app and all the information is right there. You know, that's cool, but in certain situations, it's, you know, it's still, that's why I say even the systems, they got to revamp it all the way, because one minute y'all trying to make everything digital and electronic, but then the next minute that's backfiring and people need to have physical copies of stuff, you know, because what if I need to take those results to my job, or, you know, now I got to worry about trying to go somewhere and how do I go about printing this out and, you know, different things. I mean, I know how to do it, but I'm just giving examples of this is the type of stuff people are dealing with. So, yeah, social services, I mean, Social Security, y'all say y'all doing renovations in some of those offices. I hope that's the case, because y'all giving the world a scare. Well, y'all giving the country a scare right now. Yeah, because, you know, something happening. That you know, like I said, it's kind of a weird coincidence that 13 different ones are all closing at the same time, you know, for one reason or another. And like I said, what kind of renovations and updates? I mean, again, you know, they're all in different states. And like I was saying, I mean, I know with DMV, we didn't trip off of it, because I don't really think, I mean, there was a period of time where there was some different DMV closures, but, you know, for updates and stuff. But like the one out here, that was different. You know, the people broke in there and, you know, snatched all the wiring and the piping out of everything, you know, so the plumbing system, they messed all of that up. But like we were saying, from a internet standpoint, or from a technical standpoint, it didn't seem like they really had to shut them down to update their system. And that's why I'm saying, like, even if the offices is going to be closed for renovations, what's happening with the website? You know, like I said, this is supposed to be the government stuff. We shouldn't have, there shouldn't be website crashes. It shouldn't be at capacity. At any time, y'all supposed to have the best servers in the country. You know, I'm serious. They crash more than Facebook. Yeah, I'm serious. Like I said, I'm DMV. I said DMV, IRS. The EDD for unemployment. You know, all of them. I'm serious. Like you know, where there's different, all these different, we're doing maintenance. You know, what kind of maintenance do y'all got to do on these websites? You feel me? But anyway, hopefully they, you know, they just doing renovations at those Social Security offices. But like I said, even if it's not you, if you got a loved one that you know is dealing with, that you know that they receive Social Security or any of those programs, and, you know, they might not necessarily be digital literate, you know, if you're thinking about them, like I said, take the time out to at least help them get set up to make sure that, you know, they can get all their stuff submitted. But also, again, if you're in Oakland and you're interested, or you think they might be interested, they can sign up for my class. Again, it's on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. in East Oakland and West Oakland. So residents that are interested, tap in. And I actually, might let you guys know of upcoming event that I might be doing some sign-ups at. I'm thinking about it because I know there's Cinco de Mayo coming up and a couple other fairs and festivals. And I want to get into that because I got to get ready to go. But, yeah, man, technology is a motherfucker. Speaking of technology, yeah, let's talk about that. Did you see the robot that spazzed out and hit the kid? Yeah, in China. We was talking about that when we was watching. Yeah, no, remember how we watched the robots when they was doing the demonstration at the festival? How, it was the robots up there with the humans, it was kids and adults up there. They was doing martial arts performances, and it was a trip because they was doing it with weapons too, and the robots was, moving just as freely and agile as the humans were, and it was, kind of scary to watch to see that, robots, the way technology has evolved to where, they're able to move more and more like humans. But we also have seen a lot of different cases coming up where, robots is malfunctioning. There's a situation that happened out here. I can't remember the name of that restaurant again, but there's a restaurant out here in the Bay Area that went viral about a month ago because their robot started malfunctioning in the middle of the restaurant. Breaking plates. I think I don't know if it was throwing utensils and stuff, and then, it was like a virus, where it just, instead of doing the functions it was normally supposed to do, it started tweaking out, doing other stuff, started dancing and other things, and it took like 4 or 5. What's wrong with you, man? It took like 4 or 5 employees to like hold the robot down while they shut it down, you know what I mean? But ever since then, and I've been thinking about it because, you can buy robots now for your home use. I think they start around like 20 or 30,000. And that's scary because I don't want to be in the house. What if you're in the privacy of your home? Ain't nobody there but you and the robot. And they showing robots that are actually cooking and cleaning, doing household stuff. And it all sound good until one of them malfunction with a knife or a broom or a mop in their hand. You know what I mean? Especially because it's a robot. It's metal. That's a whole different type of pain when you're talking about getting hit. And yeah, I didn't see the video, but I saw. Okay, yeah, I didn't see the video, but I saw the article talking about it. And I'm just like, again, that's not nothing that we really prepared for. I don't think that they thought that all the way through, let alone with some of the stuff that AI is doing. But yeah, let me see. You said you sent it to me? Because I'm not going to, oh, no. Hey, you is rolling. Hey, I ain't even seen it. Oh, my God. Oh, no. Well, no, see the. Well, that's a little different. That's a little different because the robot is actually performing. It's a dance routine. It went a little too wide. That's different. That's different. And the kid was tripping. The kids and the parents, because they sat there like, first of all, the mom is standing there recording it with the whole time. And you got little kids, And this kid in particular looked like, I don't know. He looked like he had to be 10 years old. Huh? No, I see two kids there, but I didn't see the other one get hit. Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, I see it now. But they was a little too close, in my opinion. That wasn't necessarily the robot was doing, is doing like ballerina type dancing, it looked like. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, exactly. And y'all all standing there watching it, it's a robot performance. But at the same time, that's what I mean about being accountable and being responsible. How, even though his hands is still metal. So, yeah, what you think is going to happen. And the kids definitely, it ain't the kids' fault. They don't necessarily know no better. I blame the parents for that one. That ain't on the robot. That ain't on the robot. I thought it was something different, like at the restaurant, but anyway, shit, good luck with that. I don't think I'll ever, just like automated, autonomous vehicles. There's two things I don't think that I'm going to ever be ready for. Is for that or a robot, Interesting the research, though, I guess, as far as, hearing these different stories or even getting the background on the new developments that they're trying to make. There was one on the news today on ping pong or, table tennis, and they was showing it was like a big robotic arm that was sliding back and forth, though, and it was, going against a human player. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I think that they taking it too far with some of that. If we using it to build stuff, that's one thing. Like in the industrial, you know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to shipping and receiving and, using robots, using, the robot arms, different things like that, I'm all for it. Because, those jobs is dangerous or certain other jobs, certain types of, like what was that they were, somebody was talking about the underwater, how people go underwater and do welding and stuff, like that's a real dangerous job. You know what I mean? Now, if that's something that you guys can create a robot to do, then I'm all for that because, you're not really putting people's lives in danger. But, yeah, other stuff, I don't know. I haven't been to none of these restaurants yet. I be seeing them at the airports and stuff, too, where it's, they flipping your burger or doing this and that. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I don't know. It's kind of odd. Just odd. But I guess, too, it's because I keep thinking about all those movies, from the iRobot to everything else. And like what you was just, like this video that we just looked at, now, like I said, that one, that didn't look like the robot was spazzing. Like I said, it just looked like they was a little too close. But, yeah, I don't know what I'd do. If I seen a robot spaz out in front of me. But shit. Let me see. It's getting close to that time, y'all. So I just want to let y'all know about a couple events that's going to be going on before I get up out of here. Because My head's starting to hurt a little bit, so I think I'm gonna need to go ahead and pop me some Tylenol. You know, because I ain't got nothing else. And I'm glad I got that. But let's see. Okay, first off, I want to tell you about these resource fairs that we got coming up tomorrow here in Oakland. Friday, April 24th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Ring Central Coliseum, which is 7000 Coliseum Way, Oakland, California. You know, there will be an annual Fair Chance Job and Resource Fair tomorrow. There's going to be over 80 participating employers and resource agencies in attendance. Okay, not limited to, but including Alameda Alliance for Health, United Airlines, Bay Area Community Services. Let me see. CTWI, Goodwill, Child Care Careers, Iron Workers Local 378, Rising Sun Center for Opportunity, the John Stewart Company, Patelco Credit Union, FedEx, Southwest. Hey, and if y'all go to Southwest and y'all get signed up, hook your boy up, man. Let me just get one buddy pass, just one. You know, we work something out. But yeah, Southwest, Waste Management, Sheet Metal Workers, Local 104, Berkeley Youth Alternatives, Bright Life Kids, America Works, Care Builders at Home, Department of Rehabilitation, and a whole lot more places, y'all. You feel me? Those are just some of them that's listed here. Pacific States Petroleum, State of California EDD office. So shit, even they hiring. See, even unemployment is hiring. So you feel me? Right? Everybody hiring. Okay. So yeah, if you ain't doing too much tomorrow, slide through there. I think I might actually go up there too to try to see about getting some people signed up for digital literacy classes. So, you know, if you see me roaming around passing out flyers, holla at your boy. But yeah, let's see. They're also going to be offering free haircuts and professional headshots, workshops, on-the-spot job offers, raffles, and more. Let's see. I might have went and got my hair cut if I didn't have these stitches in the back of my head. Ain't nothing, you know, get a little free lineup and a free headshot. I could have used that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta stay updating your portfolio, y'all. You know what I mean? You know, and shit. Don't get me started because I keep an updated resume. And who knows, you know, I might get to talking to somebody and get offered a job. You know what I mean? Because, I do this the same type of work that I do basically as far as outreach and stuff for, you know, various companies and organizations. But let's see. They're going to have a bunch of job openings there for IT support technicians, drivers, ramp agents, production associates, desk clerks, project managers, social workers, teachers' aides, mechanic technicians for diesel fleets, packagers, all kind of jobs. So yeah, make sure that y'all slide through there tomorrow. That's at Ring Central Coliseum, 7000 Coliseum Way. You feel me? From 11 to 3. Also tomorrow, if you're in the South Bay, in Gilroy, they're going to be doing an employment fair, a second chance employment fair at the South County Reentry Resource Center. Okay? It's the South County Reentry Resource Center, 8425 Murray Avenue in Gilroy. It's going to be tomorrow from 12 to 3. Okay? And they're offering, it's going to be a lot of employment referrals and resources, education resources, legal services, case management, expungement resources, housing resources, even mental health and substance treatment services and referrals. That's offered at the center. But in addition to all of that, they're going to have all these other employers, like I said, that are going to be there tomorrow. So if you get a chance, you're in the South Bay, ain't doing nothing, slide through Gilroy, South County Reentry Resource Center, 8425 Murray Avenue in Gilroy, from 12 to 3. And other than that, this weekend, I'm finna be at the car shows, That's what I like to do. I told y'all the weather is changed, is nice. I didn't talk about that too, because shit, I've been going places damn near every week. It's all these different sports teams. Oakland Skates, the new semi-pro team, hockey team. I don't know if I mentioned it. I think I did, but I went to their game last weekend down there at the Ice Center, downtown Oakland. It was packed. It was packed. For it to be a brand new team, their very first game, you know what I'm saying? And, it's a lot of hockey, fans here in the Bay Area already. We already have other hockey teams. We currently have the Sharks and the Barracudas that are in San Jose. In the city over there in Frisco, it used to be the San Francisco Spiders, and then they had the San Francisco Bulls. Those were two teams that used to be over there. We also used to have the Seals, which used to play in San Francisco and here in Oakland back in the day. I actually got one of them throwback jerseys. Y'all know nothing about that. But yeah, there's some other teams out here. We have the Oakland Bears. There's another team, I can't remember the name right now. And then the newest team that this is their first season is the Oakland Skates. And so, yeah, it was packed. It was dope to see, people coming out and, that building is right downtown, you know what I mean? And to know that they keeping it active there. I went there before, too, to see they did a meet and greet with some of the San Jose Sharks, where they're signing autographs and stuff. And it's also, the ice rink down there is open throughout the week anyway for people to just go in there and skate too. But yeah, it was definitely dope. I enjoyed it. But yeah, this weekend I'm to the car shows. So in Fairfield, they have the April Fool's car show, which is going to be at Solano Community College. I'm saying it right? Solano Community College in Fairfield. It's going to be, I think it's from 11 to 4. I'm definitely going to be in the building, so it's going to be something you might want to see. They doing the lowrider competitions out there, a bunch of different vendors, I don't know if they having performances at this one, because some of them may be having performances at, but yeah, that's where I'm going to be at this Saturday. Solano Community College, 4000 Sassoon Valley Road in Fairfield, from 11 to 4. Free dash plaques for the first 100 cars that show up, you know what I mean? So, you get there early, you get a free plaque just, to say you participated in the car show for, all my car fans out there. Food vendors, contests, train rides, and more, you know what I mean? And that's being put on by the Solano County Lowrider Council. Trying to think of what else is going on. My mind is kind of, this is in Benicia. They doing fill-a-bag Saturday. at the Revive shop. So I guess it's like a, kind of like a thrift store. You know what I mean? But fill it, stack it, and take it. So they give you a bag and whatever you can fit inside the bag for $20. So, that's going on from 11 to 4 at 410 Military East in Benicia. In Berkeley this Saturday at San Pablo Park, my boy Big Folks Pop and his his crew on Everything I Love are doing another Catch a Fade event. It's gonna be at San Pablo Park in Berkeley. Start at 2 o'clock. So grab your bottle of water and get ready to get in the gloves if you so choose. This is a family-friendly event. This is an ongoing series. I attend a lot of them. Be honest with you, I might try to leave the car show and slide out here. You know what I mean? Just because, I like watching. It's all in fun. Don't nobody be having no problems. But just people out enjoying themselves. You know what I mean? And I know the last one that I was at in West Oakland, we had a pretty dope turnout. Plus, it was, barbecue and stuff, too, so it's free barbecue for everybody. And, everybody was just out chilling, a bunch of different content creators. You had some local artists that was showing up, They've been doing that at, different people been popping out at some of the events. But, it's up this weekend, you feel me? And y'all can check that out, too, if you go look him up. Or look it up on YouTube, Big Folks Pop. You'll see what I'm talking about. Like I said, it's been touring the whole Bay Area. You know what I mean? So, But anybody's welcome to come out. Females, encouraged too. You know what I'm saying? And shit, one time it was some kids. We didn't even have the youngsters. Of course, they family had to give consent, but it was even kids getting in the gloves. You know what I'm saying? So, just trying to, promote peace and also trying to get people to, cut back on all this senseless violence and gun violence and stuff that's going on, But other than that, it's just, different events to try to bring the community together. You know what I'm saying? So, ain't nothing wrong with it. But San Pablo Park in Berkeley. Get there around 2 p.m. You know what I'm saying? If you want a box. And, it ain't no big deal. Like I said, just make sure you got on the proper attire. You feel me? And, get ready to get sized up. So, that's this weekend. Unfortunately, I got to work on Sunday. Oh, I know what I forgot. The most important thing, tonight, April 23rd, and I'm about to get up out of here because, I'm still might be trying to go to this. Well, they are doing skate night at the park in West Oakland. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if the skates is a free rental skate night tonight, but y'all might want to check that out. That's from, 6 to 8 at Bobby Hutton Park. Formerly known as Defirmary Park, basically on the 16th side, 16th Street in Adeline, so definitely if you want to come hang out there, it's a vibe. Sometimes it's performances, it'd be food, box giveaways, different things, but you definitely, the DJ rocking, they, sometimes be having skate lessons where a little class where, people is working on dance moves or just skating, period. But everybody's out having a good time. It's an all-age event, and there don't be no problems. That's going on tonight, but also today is free movie night at the drive-in. So I'm kind of torn on whether or not I want to go to that one. So at the drive-in in Concord, okay, that's on Solano Way. Tonight is a free movie night at the drive-in theater. I believe they're showing 4 movies. Unfortunately for some of us, there's only kid movies that are being shown, you know. Because I've been wanting to go to the drive-in just to kick it. You know, that used to be a regular on back in the day. Sometimes when we was younger, you know, go kick it at the drive-in. But yes, I believe it's all kid movies. So, Five Nights at Freddy's, Wicked for Good, The Bad Guys 2, and Zootopia 2. But get there at 6 o'clock for the gates to open, and the movie start at 8 o'clock, okay? And that's at the Solano Drive-In, 1611 Solano Way in Concord. They're going to have the bounce houses out, music, and different stuff, and $2 nachos. So, I hope y'all enjoy y'all week and y'all weekend. I'm about to try to enjoy mine, and we'll tap in next week. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we out. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share with your friends.